My guest today is filmmaker and stunt coordinator Thomas Lorber and his short film Legend Has It. Now, Thomas is a French and Canadian director with a dynamic background in stunt performance and action filmmaking. Now, his impressive credits include high profile projects such as Titans, Nobody, one of my favorite films, as well as Violent Night, Transformers, Rise of the Beast, and notably, he fight coordinated the latest Ready or Not 2 and Violent Night 2. And he also most recently doubled for Oscar Isaac in the acclaimed Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein and was nominated for his stunt work at the 2025 Astra Awards for Best Stunt. Now, while Thomas has made a mark as a performer and fight coordinator, his creative focus has increasingly shifted toward directing. And we are here today to talk about his newest short film, Legend Has It, an action comedy. So let's welcome filmmaker Thomas Lorber to the show. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you for having me, Ward.
It's great. Well, it's great to have you here. And why did you want to make the transition from stunt man, stunt coordinator to film director?
I think the more I spend time behind the camera and creating action, I realized that I didn't only want to create action, but I was like very like I love the filmmaking aspect, and I wanted to tell more stories about like a full length story instead of just like action oriented story. And then COVID happened, and I was like, oh, you know what? I think it's the perfect time to try my own stuff. And I really got the bug, and I was like, okay, there is no turning back on that. Like, that's where I want to go.
Well, I know that you had worked on Frankenstein, which won
Mhm.
4 Oscars. And so, how did you find time to make this film, Legend Has It, while working on Frankenstein, or were you able to film Legend Has It during the pandemic?
No, so we shot Legend in January 2025, I think. So we finished Frankenstein in June 2024. But it took us like me and my two writers, Frank Tremblay and Ramesh Santanam. We got together while I was in on Frankenstein, and I was like, okay, I wanna make something special. Let's get some ideas going, and then we'll see what sticks to the wall. And obviously, we were like the three of us were working on different projects, so we're like, okay, we'll just start with a concept, and then we were like jazzing while I was also prevising for Frankenstein and doubling at the same time. So it was a lot of work, but lucky for me, it was such a different aspect, different project, different tone that I could, during the weekend go into my project, and it was like my way to entertain myself a bit, and I was like, okay, let's start to go over a script. We did like probably 8 or 9 version of the script, and for short film, sometimes you don't do that, but I was like, no, no, like I wanted more. And then from one scene it became 2 scenes, 3 scenes, and at some point I was like, okay, no, I want to add a bit of me in it. So that's why I wanted to have like that French culture with the French mafia that we don't really see. And I was like, let's make it more personal. And then we had so much fun with that. And I was doing the prep while I was on Frankenstein at the same time. It was crazy, but I'm glad I did it. And yeah, I think I'm someone who, when I have an idea, I go full out, and I'm not turning back on what I want to do, which is a I think it's a great strength for what I achieved in my career. But at the same time, it costs a lot. Like it takes a toll on me for sure in terms of energy, um, resources, and everything. But I love the filmmaking, and I love the prep aspect of things where you're just creating everything. And yeah, so then at some point we decided to go into prep, and then there were no turning back. I was like, okay, let's make it.
Well, you know, I love this film because it was so different from all of the other films that I have to see in the short film category. I don't see too many action comedies in the short film category at all. So this must have been a
Mhm.
very fun project to direct.
Oh yeah, like I had so much fun. We were laughing so hard, like every day on set. Um, I feel that I thrive through comedy. That's what I want to do, at least for now. I think it's my best, let's say, sandbox. Well, yeah, that's what I like to do, and I'm always kind of goofing around in a good way. Always trying to find some new ideas, and like doing a film like that was for me like a good way to get out of all the things that we usually do in stunts. And sometimes when they call me to conceptualize a fight, you already get the script, you know what you're doing, you know what you have to do, you have you're within a box. And even if you can offer some new ideas, it has to be in the tone of the movie. On Legend, on the other hand, I was making the rules. So then at some point, it was great for me because I was like, okay, actually, this is funny. We need to make this guy in this situation. And then from there, we're like, okay, how can we still deliver a message through comedy, and then bring some comedy when people are not expecting it, through the fight, through the humor, through the tone, through the dialogue. But I didn't want it to be like, I don't know. I want it to feel real, and usually in short films, I think especially stunts, it's hard to make because it costs a lot of money. Obviously, um, lucky for me that this is my strength. I know I have my guys who are also happy to come and help because they know they're gonna go for a ride, but it's gonna be fun and it's rewarding because now they see the film is actually making like it's going pretty well. And um yeah, we're recognized also for the stunts, so that's good for my friends who are also in the movie. It's good for John Core, who's like a such a talented actor, lead guy, that sometimes he did some stunts or some action, but it's hard for lead guy to showcase what you can do. And then so that was great for everybody, and I was very fortunate to have like a great cast you
Well,
know
for all the viewers and the listeners, what is Legend Has It actually about?
um so the short film, I'm going to talk just about the short film, but basically it follows a legendary male stripper who goes into the wrong hotel room, and he's mixed up with a hitman who's supposed to come to that hotel room to torture a guy. And then so he shows up, and obviously he sees someone attached to a chair, so he thinks that his client, basically. And then so it's a big quid pro quo between every sides, between the French mobsters who are waiting for that legendary hitman to come, but nobody knows, nobody's seen him, they just know his name, the myth. And we have our legendary male stripper who's the legend, so that's why they got a quid pro quo. And yeah,
Well,
it's there.
comedy is about timing. So, was that a challenge when you have action scenes in the mix?
I think I'm because I do a lot of previews for film. I'm always used to shoot and edit, and then so I feel when I'm directing, I already have my edit in my head, where I kind of know where I'm gonna cut, and I can see it in my head already. So for me, timing is key, but I know exactly what I wanted. And then from there I was like, okay, we'll do like few takes where we'll have what I want, and then if time permitted, I I wanted to just explore a bit with like improv from my actors, and then or try different stuff. Um and then the good thing that I had is because I had Olivier Lamarche, who was Timmy Tim, the guy, sitting on the chair. I could always cut back to him anytime for timing purposes with like his faces looking at everything because he's representing the audience. He's the point of view of the audience looking at everything, and it's like what's going on, and he can't even talk, so he's just like he doesn't exist for the whole thing, but he's there. So I could always cut back to him to either save time, change between takes, and then also timing wise to bring more fluidity in the edit. That was the goal, and I'm pretty happy with what we got. But yeah, it's true that sometimes comedy is on rely on timing, and timing is key. So you can't
Well,
mess it up for sure.
there was, there's a lot of funny scenes in this film, and when I saw actor Tom Morton,
Hmm.
and because the film starts with a camera on him,
Yeah.
and I kept watching him and watching him. I went back, replayed the beginning of the film again, and then it finally dawned on me. When I saw Tom Morton and the part that he played, it reminded me of actor Tim Curry because I
Mm.
could see a bit of Tim in Tom in that
Mhm.
role as the lead gangster. And it really, to me, when I saw that aspect of it, it just really made it funnier because at first when you see the film start, you're thinking drama, but then there's that turn in the dialogue and the action in the opening scene, and then
Mhm.
it just runs with comedy
Yeah.
throughout the rest of the film, which I loved. How did you come to cast Tom Morton as well as the other characters, such as John Core?
It's funny. Tom, I met him at a film festival where for my previous movie called Beat It, and it was like a dance movie about like a coming of age movie. And then he was in the audience, and he came to like another film won some awards, so he came to represent them, and then so he saw my movie, and then right after he came to see me, he loved my movie, and then we stayed in contact. And then at some point, I think when I was about to cast all the roles, um I was looking for someone a bit older at first, to play Henri Georges. And Henri Georges wasn't French at that time; he was British. And Tom is like half British, half French, so he could play both, which is amazing. But then I kind of changed it on the fly. I was like, no, no, they have to be French. I want it to be like more like based on my culture and bring some of the French touch. And in Canada, the French speakers are usually from Quebec, and I didn't want it to be a Quebec, um, you know, like mafia. I wanted to be like fully French, and it was pretty hard to find someone who's like very fluent and will understand also the way French speakers speak or have like the same reference in terms of like French movies that I have. And then so I went to grab a coffee with him, and then we were talking about the movie, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I have that idea about the film." And then at some point, I looked at him. I was like, "Hey, do you want to tape for it?" And he was like, "Oh, I would love to tape for it." I was like, "Okay, great." And then so I submitted. I got a lot of self tape from a lot of people. In my head, I was like, "Oh, he could be great." And then I just looked at his tape, and I was like, "That's it. He understands everything about it." For me, for Henri Georges, what I wanted to do, I wanted to start the movie, like you say, almost like a drama. My kind of comedy, I want to feel like all the characters are like in a drama. It's like the situation is funny, what happens gets out of control, and the comedy comes from there more than trying to be goofy. I mean, it's a style of comedy, but for this, I think I really wanted to be down to earth, but then it goes out of control, and the craziness happens.
Well, it's funny because I love the way that you timed, and I'm not going to give this away. I'm not going to give a spoiler. I want people to
Mm.
see this film and experience like I did. And all I'm going to say is that in the opening scene, there's that moment. And
Yeah.
then when I saw the reaction of Tom Morton,
Hmm.
then the comedy kicked in. And
Hmm.
it was so at first you're shocked, and then you kind of start to laugh, and then it just starts rolling
Yeah.
from there. And so I really loved how you played that opening scene,
Mm.
and it was so cool. And then you have actor John Core who plays the legend.
A legend.
And so, how did you cast John?
So John, kind of the same thing. We used to train together 10 years ago in an open gym. While I think he was shooting Shadow Hunters in Toronto, where he had like a recurrent role, and he was like also doing acrobatics, and I was training in stunts with a bunch of stunt people. So we were training together, and then we stayed friends. And then at some point when we were writing the script, right away in my head, I'm like, oh, John would be so good for that. And I was like, okay, how can I show him, like even like explain it to him the script? Because it's like, when you see the script, when you read it, and then some department, like they read it and they're like, what is going on, because you just see, and I don't want to spoil too much, but just you realizes what happens, and you're like, oh, okay, oh, all right, oh, he's a stripper, oh, like what's going on, and then so I was like, how can I approach that to him and show him that it's gonna be great. So then at some point I was like, hey, John, I'm gonna go. He's now in Vancouver, so I was like, I'm supposed to come to Vancouver anyway to meet some friends and network a bit. I was like, can we just let's go hang out? It's been a long time. And he was like, yeah, sounds good. And then so I sent him the script and I was like, we will talk about it. Just have a read. Let me know what you think. I would love for you to be the lead. And then so we ended up talking that night. Started like maybe we grabbed a bite at 7 or something, and then he was like asking me a question about the movie, and I was like, oh, no, 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 what I'm picturing is this and this. And then we were talking about the movie until like 3 in the morning, and then he was like, oh, now I see the full picture. And then so what I did after, I did a previs of the whole sequence of the dance and the fight, just to show the tone of comedy and movement and cinematography that I wanted to do. And I sent it to him on the music and everything. And then I was like, that's what I'm picturing. And he was like, oh man, I'm so in. And I was like, all right, let's go. Uh, and obviously, because I wanted to be fair with everybody, I still, even if I had him in mind, I wanted to also be sure of my choice, because it would, it's like I financed the whole thing, which is, a lot of money. And at the same time, like making him fly from Vancouver to Toronto, I was like, okay, I got to be sure of what I'm doing. So I was like, hey, do you want to still tape? Because I have like also other actor who are great, based in Toronto, but I know he has a background in fighting as well. So I was like, I think I should go with him, but let's be sure. And then he nailed it, the audition as well. And I was like, no, trust your gut.
Well, since you are a stunt coordinator yourself, did you coordinate the stunts yourself, or did you have another coordinator on set?
I had two coordinators on set. I had a stunt coordinator and a fight coordinator, because I couldn't handle everything. Basically, we had a meeting at some point, and I was like, hey guys, that's what I'm picturing. I want you though to take the lead, create some vignettes here and there, and just present me something. And then for me, I like to delegate, and short film is a great way also to get more experience, and I wanted to have an experience more as a director and a producer rather than just trying to do everything on my own. You know, it's like things that I can do, but at the same time, the time that I'm putting into creating everything and coordinating is a big, there is a lot of stunt coordinator who becomes a director, but being a stunt coordinator is already a full-time job. There is pressure, there is risk involved, risk management, action design. It's a real job. So doing everything, I was like, yeah, no, I don't want that. I want it to be perfect, and I want people to take, like, to be in charge of the action. And obviously I was like, okay, I knew my schedule and everything, and I was like, okay, so this is a bit similar than this. Let's mix and pair it together. Get rid of this one. I want this vignette, and then we'll also flip that. And then they came up with other ideas. I was like, I don't think we'll have time for this. I love this one. I love this one. And then we kind of did everything. And then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna do a rehearsal with them, the whole stunt team, and we shot the previews so I could edit it and see exactly what I could do on the day. And then so that's usually what I do in stunts. And we always present it to a director, and then it's like, you tell me, oh, we have 2 days. I'm not gonna go and do crazy things if you only have 2 days to shoot it. I'm trying to always take the time to understand the rules and the box that I'm in, and see what's feasible, because everybody could have the best ideas in the world, but when you're on set and you have only 2 hours to shoot it, it's like, no, we're not gonna do a car crash, we're not gonna have someone jumping from a window, and then like a 200 beats fight if we have 1 hour. You know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to have like a full team. Everybody had a role, and then that way on the day they could set up everything. They could be worried about the safety, the stunts, and everything. And I was just shooting it.
Well, I
You know.
can see now very clearly that by being a stunt coordinator and all the work that goes into it, in a way, you're already directing. So moving into the director's chair is not really a big stretch, is it?
No, to be honest, no. And I think I was already like, you're right. You're directing when you're stunt coordinating. You're directing stunt performers. You're directing. Sometimes you're just actually leading the set. It happens. Um, you're also an AD. You're doing everything, which is great, and I love that. For me, though, I wanted to be more also precise on the acting part and not just the action, because sometimes you don't talk the same way to stunt people than actors. We have a different way of like working. um for example, I would say, like, a stunt guy, you just tell him to be on his mark at that a specific beat, and he's gonna be on it. And you almost like, you could tell him like, okay, put your left foot here, move your right hand, and then when I go, you gotta turn your head. And then that's how precise we are with timing. So you can say that, but to an actor, he's gonna feel it, he's gonna do it on his own. And then so you have to capture it to show like what the character is actually gonna do, and then you base every, or like, the world around him. So it's different, but at the same time, when you know how to do one and also how to direct action with actors, then I think it's like similar, and it's just a management skills where you know how to talk to people.
Oh well,
It's
yeah,
like,
and I have to ask this, but I don't want to give this away, so I want to be very careful how I ask this question because I want everybody to see this film like I saw it. How did you come up with the idea of the legends? How can I put this? Um, choice of weapon.
mhm. um, yeah. It's funny. um
I mean, he is a male stripper, so maybe
yeah.
people can kind of put that into their head and kind of figure out what his choice of
Yeah.
weapon is. But it was really funny.
I think it started with the so we were talking about an idea that I wanted to do at the beginning, and it was like a 70s cop. I had a sequence in my head where like a cop would break his handcuff to have like brass knuckle. And then so we like I had that in one of my memo on my phone, and then I was like, okay, that's a scene when he goes, like let's go. And I was like, oh, I already imagined that on another movie. And then so we started with that, and I was like, what if he has like third handcuff? And then we were like, okay, but what else could we have? And then we started to reverse engineer with also the costume and be like, okay, if he has a costume, maybe we put him as a construction worker or something. So he has a tool belt. And then how can we put in the tool belt that it's kind of funny, but it's for him, it's part of his routine, and how to make his routine something kind of sexy at the same time that we can understand that he's using that because it's pure fun, and how can we have this into like turn it into a weapon. um and then yeah, so we started just with my writers to talk about different stuff, and then some things worked, some things like we decided to discard. I wanted him at some point to use the belt itself to actually do some things with it, but then it was like too much choreo. I felt too much action for the sake of action, and I'm not really, for me action has to serve a purpose for the story. And then especially the short is already kind of long, it's a proof of concept, so that's why I wanted to make the storytelling a bit you know detail like a feature film, but just having more vignettes just for the sake of it. I was like, yeah, no, it's okay, we get it. So it's just like you give them enough so they will like it, but you don't give everything because you don't want to bore them with too many tools.
Well, no, I completely get it because my one of my biggest major arguments was when they filmed John Wick 3 and John Wick 4.
Mm-hmm.
The fight scenes were far too long.
Mm.
I found them boring, and I found them to the point. And 4 was the worst. Um, I felt that the fight scenes in that film were so choreographed that it looked like more like ballet than fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And to tell you the truth, it served no purpose to the story whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand what you're talking about, that you want things to go with the story and not just for the sake of being there, filling
Yeah.
up time. And in this case, you don't want to because you're dealing with a short film, and from what I understand, a very good proof of concept. Because
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I really enjoyed on this film is it looks like a major feature film.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. My DP will be happy.
No, I love it when a filmmaker is going to do a short film, and my deal is this: you want to make it look like a feature film, but in your case, it has that it has that feature film look as if you were watching like Knives Out.
Mm-hmm.
It has that particular look. Or of course, you worked on Ready or Not 2, and if you
Yeah.
look at Ready or Not 1, it has a bit of that look, and that's what you want.
Yeah,
So
it's
especially
funny.
for proof of concept.
Yeah, it's funny when we were talking with my DP the first time. I kind of did like a pitch deck with like a bunch of pictures of look that I wanted, and Ready or Not was in it. And then we shot Legend in January, and then in February I got the call. to do Ready or Not 2. And I was like, oh my God, it's like, I don't know if it's the universe or I manifested it, but it was just so funny because I was dealing with some pictures, some framing of Ready or Not 1. And then right after, like a month after, I was with the directors, talking with them about like action and being on set. And so, yeah, it's funny how it goes, but yeah, you're right. I think for me, I wanted to treat it like an actual feature film, um being like, okay, let's it's 1 week out of like 4 weeks to shoot like a kind of like a medium or low budget feature film due to my resources.
Oh man, Thomas, do not get me started on seeing independent feature films
Yeah.
that probably should have been put on YouTube and
Hmm.
maybe not be good enough for streaming. But for you, I don't think you have that problem because you've been on these major productions. You know how it's done
Hmm.
and you're in that realm, you know the feel of that, and it comes across in Legend Has It. And so if you make Legend Has It as a feature, there'll be no worries. It'll look like a top-notch A-list film. So and I'll be one that'll be ready to see it. But this one was really funny. But what was the most challenging aspect of making the short film?
mm, I would say the location. um Location was pretty tough because we had a lot to shoot. And so basically it looks like a hotel, but it's like we kind of rented like a condominium party room that we changed it all to look like a penthouse, you know. And then so because of that we had to deal with the location, things that we were supposed to do but we couldn't do, and then we could do it at some point, but I had to rechange my schedule all the time. And it's like we shot it in 5 days, and I had like so many shots to shoot. And then because of that, like some lighting, like technical lighting, we wanted to have like the full ceiling to be prepped on an iPad so we could change every light fixtures. And they were like, yeah, yeah, it's totally fine, we can do it, blah blah blah. And then when we got there on the first day, when we were like, I had a pre-call to prep everything, they were like, oh no, they are attached to the fire department, you can't touch those bulbs. And I was like, oh well, here goes my plan. And then so how do you start your first day? Like you have a full plan and everything is under control, everybody's ready to go, and then we go to war basically. And then it's like, no, it doesn't work. And then we just right away we bounce back. And then my DP Jesse Laudet is amazing, and he's done like he's been a commercial DP and director for now like many years. Did like the Olympics, Team Canada commercials. He's like one of the greatest in Canada, and he goes everywhere in the world. So he's used to also move fast because commercial sometimes it is very fast. So that was a big skill set to have like in our toolbox, to be like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And because of how I'm used to shoot fights and how to react in stunts, we have to react all the time. They will call us in the morning to do a stunt, and then actually it doesn't work, we have to change it, fix it, make it safe but still do the stunt. And now it's like 5 a.m. and they actually call you for the stunt, and you're so exhausted but you got to be ready and sharp. All those was like our way to get it done. But yeah, I would say location, and probably I would have loved to have an extra day, but it's like in every production it's always that. So one of the
Well,
notes.
so is this so? Um, are you already working on shopping or trying to greenlight a feature film based on Legend Has It?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to Los Angeles next month. We're playing at the Chinese Theater for the Beverly Hills Film Festival. So then I'm gonna also be in LA for like a month, and then try to have like, some actual shopping discussion, because our feature film, we have like the whole pitch and the whole breakdown of the film. I know exactly how, I have the plan already in my head. And then so it's funny because some people were like, but if you give everything away in the short, like what's left for the feature? And I'm like, oh no, you have no idea. Obviously, I cannot really, talk about it
Oh
now,
no,
but
I get it.
it's
I get
just
it.
the tip of the iceberg. And it's gonna be even funnier, crazier, bigger world, more characters, obviously. And no, yeah. So I'm very excited about it. I know that we got something very special. And at the same time, I'm also working on two other scripts that I'm developing. So yeah, the future is bright.
I love that. I love that. So, what should viewers expect when watching the film? And has this film already debuted at a film festival yet?
Yeah, so we won the audience awards in Sapporo in Japan, which was crazy because sometimes the audience awards, you never know if, like, between someone who's gonna bring all their friends or from like who the hometown will sometimes win it. And no, I was like on Violent Night in Winnipeg when I received an email saying like, "Oh, you won the audience award." The the audience went crazy. I was like, "Oh my god, this is so good." Um, it's good, when you don't know anybody and then you hear that the feedback, and then, oh, they love this, they love that, they love this part. They didn't know what to expect, and I was like, okay, that's great. And then so we did also, we screened at Dances with Film in New York, which was a huge success, packed theater. And then that's when it was my first time actually seeing it in a theater. And the moment that you were talking about, even in the intro, the first scene, to see it with everybody, and then when you realize that everybody's laughing at the same time, when you expect them to laugh, and I was like, oh, I'm onto something and it's working. It was like pure joy for me. It's like, I think that's why we also make movie. It's like the theater experience where everybody's laughing, cheering at the same time. So that was one of
What
the.
does that help you with an audience reaction like that? Does that help you when you're pitching the idea for a feature film?
I mean, at this, it's it shows me, and it pushed my conviction that the movie works. Um, you can always have. It depends also who's in the audience. You know, um, if you can manage to bring some actual producer in the audience, it's great. Having feedbacks from the audience is also amazing. Nowadays, like, you also have like screening, like Q&A, where people could actually tape it and show what actually happened. This is all a plus, in terms of like social media, uh, because if they see that actually your movie is a hit in theater, it's something else to show. Like, we got lucky that every time we were sold out, so that's a big plus too. And I think the more you do it, the more you go to festival, the more you have a bigger reaction, and the more people talk about it. And then so I'm not very, I mean, I'm trying to be good with social media, but at the same time, I don't really spend too much time on it. And I like when people start to spread the words by themselves. um I'm also like that. I'm all about work, and my work will speak by itself. But yeah, I think it will still help. people has to come to LA and see it. I
Well,
think
yeah,
it.
and ladies and gentlemen, if any of you are attending the Beverly Hills Film Festival, make sure you're sitting in the audience to watch Legend Has It. It is a
Yes.
rarity. And ladies and gentlemen, it's director Thomas Lorber's Legend Has It is about a male stripper named Adam. He's a dancer, the kind that's hired for high-end bachelorette blowouts and socialite birthday parties, but he is hired for one last event as he's hanging up his G-string for good. Only what should have been an easy and fun payday is an estrogen-filled, well, hotel suite turns into an unexpected encounter with the French mafia. With no way out but through, Adam finds himself caught in a fight for survival where this just may be his best performance yet. Now, this film is a rarity as it's an action comedy, something I don't often see, if ever, in the short film genre, but it is a breath of fresh air to see this in this type of category that's usually lined with grief and depression. So it's nice to laugh and to see a bit of action at the same time. And like I said before, the cinematography is top notch, and I would expect it to be when you read over Thomas Lorber's very long resume, you know why when you watch this short film Legend Has It that it looks like a feature film. So Thomas has the touch when it comes to directing and knowing what he wants in his film. And again, when this film appears at a film festival near you, check it out as it's great to leave the theater with a smile on your face. And Thomas, I want to thank you for sharing this amazing film with me today.
Of course. Thank you so much, Ward. I really appreciate our conversation. That was great.
You're very, very welcome, and much success to you, not only on the film festival circuit this year, but also to see, uh, to possibly see this film as a feature film in the future.
I'll send you a ticket when we're done with the feature.
I will love that. I'll be sitting in the theater to see the feature film for Legends Has It. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in LA and you're attending the Beverly Hills Film Festival, make sure you're sitting in the audience when Legend Has It appears in the short film block. Again, a rare action comedy, but one that is done well with top level filmmaking. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can watch or listen to all of the Bond on Cinema interviews at bondoncinema.com. Check out our Prime Show, our YouTube channel. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, and more. And remember, you'll either see me at the movies or from the red carpet.